Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to Cosmic Culture, the channel where we talk all things major movie and television news, theories, breakdowns, and much, much more. I'm your host Chris, and today I want to talk about one of the biggest pieces of information that I think we got about the future of the MCU. I'm talking pushing all the way through to Phase 6, and in the entirety of the multiverse saga. And it has to do with Kang, who currently is the big bad looming in the background, and we were introduced to this individual during Loki, so way back towards the beginning of Phase 4. Now, overall, people have considered Phase 4 to be relatively underwhelming, not a lot of huge connections or plot-pushing aspects. However, we're at this tipping point now, especially following San Diego Comic-Con, where they announced the entirety of Phase 5 and gave us huge titles for Phase 6, including Fantastic Four and 2 Avengers movies. Well, one of the titles of this movie was Avengers Kang Dynasty. And this is one of the most telling titles for any Marvel movie to ever come out, especially if you consider where we are in Phase 4 right now and the information we already have. So we're going to talk about Kang the Conqueror and how big his reign is really going to be in the MCU. If you haven't already, consider subscribing and turning on that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of our other major movie and television news theories. You can also check me out on my other socials, Instagram at Chris M. Rosser and Twitter at The Culture Chris. Links to both of those are in the description down below. So, for starters, Kang Dynasty. What a super cool title. That's a lot of fun. Just strong, bold, but meaningful. And if you aren't familiar with what the word dynasty means, it has a few meanings specifically. Dynasty as a definition is a line of hereditary rulers of a country or a succession of people from the same family who play a prominent role in business, politics, or any other field. This is where maybe we're going to have a hard time wrapping our head around how dangerous of a villain Kang is going to be. Now, obviously, our big comparison to Kang is going to be Thanos. Thanos was the big bad of the Infinity Saga. They teased him, they kind of dropped hints at him, they gave him post-credit sequences, Easter eggs, all the way up until Infinity War when he defeated the Avengers, decimated half the universe, and then Endgame when they finished off Thanos, they chopped off his head, but they still had to go back in time to try to fix everything, and then Thanos from a different universe ended up showing up, and the whole inevitable factor happened. Ultimately, Iron Man snapped and all was saved, and now we're in the multiverse saga. That's the big bad we have of comparison, but here's a few things that you need to appreciate. The word dynasty, as we just described, refers to a hierarchy that has expanded throughout generations. By the time we get to the Kang Dynasty, it appears Kang will have taken over many different multiverses, universes, and different facets of existence in many different ways. Now, it's also important to keep in mind that Kang isn't just going to be one big huge team of Kangs, they're also going to be fighting amongst themselves. And He Who Remains, who was introduced in Loki, managed to come out on top and created the entirety of the TVA to keep his other variants at bay. He wasn't even bothered by Thanos at all. That's how much further advanced Kang is to Thanos, his comparable. The person that we look at and say Kang is Thanos of the multiverse saga. This is how much bigger this saga is. The TVA explained that the Avengers were allowed to time travel because He Who Remains saw it fit. He thought that that's how it was supposed to happen. He knew the Avengers would eventually defeat Thanos. And that was the way the world was willed to be created. But don't get confused. If He Who Remains wanted to, he could have gone and defeated Thanos easily, with no problem. Don't forget, again, one of the coolest Easter eggs and nods to the future of the MCU as well as the past at the same time, the drawer of the Infinity Stones at the TVA that are jokingly used as paperweights by some of the employees. It was at this point that Loki kind of realized something and utters the quote, "Is this the most formidable force in the universe?" And at the moment, the answer is yes. Way more consistently and just over the top, stronger than Thanos, was He Who Remains, who is now dead, and as we saw at the very end of Loki, has been replaced in some facet by a Kang variant. Now that's who we're dealing with. But in order for there to be a dynasty, there has to be a hierarchy of people who have conquered and ruled for several generations. A dynasty isn't one person, but a group of people, usually within the same family, which all of the Kangs would be, who have been ruling for a number of years. If you're still with me, I'm nearing the point. And the point is, Kang is going to win a lot. in a lot of different universes. He will rule universes. He will rule multiple universes. And Kang is going to have win after win after win. Sometimes defeating himself. Sometimes defeating Avengers, Illuminati, Fantastic Four, X-Men, all from different universes. He will have experience in completely destroying his enemies. And it's going to happen time after time after time. Or so implies the title Kang Dynasty. We even have a little taste of this from the footage that was revealed at San Diego Comic-Con for Ant-Man Quantumania. When Ant-Man originally meets Kang the Conqueror, Kang talks to him and they talk back and forth, and Scott Lang says something along the lines of, "You can't mess with us, I'm an Avenger," and Kang the Conqueror responds with, "You're an Avenger? Have I killed you before?" That's how familiar Kang is going to be with winning. He's killed every variant of every character across the universes that exist, and hopefully he will meet his match with ours. But, and this is a big but, I don't think until after he's done a fair amount of winning. Kang has the ability to time travel, to universe travel, to figure out all of these different insane possibilities. And remember, the Scarlet Witch, who is vastly considered the most powerful character in the MCU right now, couldn't travel the multiverse on her own. She needed America Chavez. But He Who Remains explained that they figured out how to travel the multiverse. Their intelligence, their power, their inventions, their creations all superseded anything that had ever been created before in the known universe. That is what is going to make Kang such an insane villain. And I'm actually really enjoying, now that we have this perspective of the Kang Dynasty and the Secret Wars event that's going to be coming way down the road in Phase 6, the very slow build that they're doing. We've seen Kang a very small number of times, and we've had close to no mentionings of him whatsoever. There have been a few teasers, perhaps in Moon Knight, since in the comic books, one of the variants of Kang goes back and becomes a pharaoh in ancient Egypt, and they talk about this, and that might even be where some of the different relics and items were hidden during the finale of Moon Knight. So that's a possibility that there's a massive Kang connection there. And then obviously the actual introduction of him in Loki. But apart from that, we've had not much mentionings of him. Actually, Phase 4 is really explaining what's going on with the aftermath of the blip. Where are different characters and organizations? How exactly does the multiverse work? What is an incursion, which is going to be extremely important when we make our way over to Secret Wars? And then again, where are the characters? Here are some new characters, here are the old characters, and the pressure of everything surrounding Kang is going to start being applied in Ant-Man. Now, obviously, we all have some very high hopes for potential cameos. We know MODOK's going to be involved. There are big rumors that potentially Doom or Fantastic Four can make an appearance either in the film as people trapped in the quantum realm or studying the quantum realm, and or in the post-credit scene, which would eventually lead to something really, really fun happening as well. Although, it's hard to tell. Ant-Man's going to have some pretty big storyline. And sadly, some of the characters that are involved in Ant-Man might be in a little bit of trouble, because going up against Kang, as I mentioned, is not a joke. And even if somehow miraculously Ant-Man and his group or whoever's involved in this film do manage to defeat Kang this time around, there's going to be another, and another, and another, and another. This is a big villain, guys, and I don't think we've completely been able to wrap our brains around how massive of a villain, how much more scary and dangerous than Thanos of a villain we have on our hands. But we're going to start getting a lot of those answers, and a lot of these connections are coming our way, starting with She-Hulk, which will be connecting some of these different storylines that have been happening throughout Phase 4. We have Wong involved, Daredevil showing up, rumors of some of the Fantastic Four potentially showing up, Hulk, who is an original Avengers with an entire connection and collaboration ability at his fingertips, and Stark technology that we've seen. She-Hulk's going to be a big series, guys, so I hope you're getting excited for that, and hopefully we'll get even more mentions of Kang the Conqueror. Let me know your thoughts about this in the comment section down below. Did you learn something new about Kang the Conqueror, or did I miss out any facts that have been established in the MCU? Let me know down below. If you haven't already, consider subscribing and turning on that notification bell, and I'll be sure to chat with all you guys and see you in the next one right here on Cosmic Culture.